Good evening, crafters. This is Pat at Pat's Card Corner. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and welcome to Therapy Thursday. So I hope you saw my post on my Facebook page earlier today, and hope you have some supplies together, and I have something really fun to show you, so I hope you like it, and I'm going to kind of go ahead and get started as soon as I make sure I can see comments here. So if you're watching tonight, please leave me a comment, like my video, say hi. You know where I am because I told you, so if you let me know where you're from too, that'd be great. And there we go. Oh, hey Laura. Yeah, it's good to be back too. I miss being here, but I needed the break for my, my own little therapy. So, but we're good to go now. So, I do have something fun to show you, and I've got shadows everywhere. That's not good. Let me see if I can move something. Hello. Not sure if that'll help or not. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little better. Probably not. Oh well. It might be my computer screen. Yeah, if you tilt it again, it looks good. Okay, so I am using this new stamp set that's in the new catalog that just came out. It's called Cup of Tea, and it has dies that go with it. They're called teacup dies, and you can see they have two different little teacups. They have, which cuts out those. They have flowers, little leaf, some little tags like you would see on a bag of tea, and a whole bunch of little sentiments on it. It's a lot of fun. So it also has some coordinating designer series paper that goes with it. They are 6x6, and this is the paper. It's -1 piece because I used all of that piece up already. So, it doesn't take long for me to get my hands on stuff. So lots of teacups, teapots, a little bit of lemon, some flowers, some more flowers, more teacups, prettier teacups, which I'm using that paper tonight, and more flowers. And on the back, you have a bunch of coordinating designs, so you can make lots of fun cards with these. So, excuse me. Anyway, hey Meg. Yeah, I miss seeing you guys too. So, well, not seeing, but seeing. All right, so that is what I'm using tonight. I am also using this is a new die set, and I bought it just for the shapes. So I know it goes with the stamp set, and off the top of my head I can't remember which one, but it has a bunch of stitched circles and stitched squares and a bunch of banners. So you can do a lot with this too. So very useful and very versatile for all kinds of things. So, and we are going to go ahead and get started. And yeah. And I'm going to tell you the supplies that you're going to need. So this one, you're going to need a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 8.5. Here's my little note. We are going to score it in half. You could probably see I've already scored mine, but so we'll pretend to score it, but we're going to score that in half because it's a regular card. You also will need a piece of, I'm using this side, of designer series paper that is 4.25 by 5.5. We will need a piece that is 6 by 4.5. This we're going to do some scoring and folding and cutting with this to make something kind of fun. That's our little treat holder part. It's actually going to go on the front of our card, just to give you a little hint of what we're doing. You will also need a piece of designer series paper. This one is, I'm using this side, is 2.5 by 5.5. You might guess that it's going to kind of go over here. And these are scraps that I have, but I use them instead of cutting a piece of basic white, because it's going to go in the back of this. We're going to kind of give it a little edge on both sides, but I don't really want to waste a whole piece of paper, so I have a lot of these scraps from when I cut my basic white cardstock down to make pieces for the inside of my cards. I have a lot of these left over, so they're perfect for using for something like this. I think they are, yeah, they're 1/2 inch by, these are 5.5, so these are 1/2 inch by 5.5. And there's my little sticker for that. I knew I had it somewhere. Let's kind of spread these out so you can kind of see in case somebody forgets what they're doing. I also have a piece of scrap. This is actually this piece. We're going to stamp on this side of the paper. So yes, you can stamp on your designer series paper. Don't be afraid to do that. And this is a scrap that we're also going to do a little cutting with. I went ahead, the dies that I showed you earlier, the stylish shapes, I went ahead and cut one of these out. This is about a little over 2 inches wide. So you could also use a square if you don't have a something to make a circle. You could also do a square, and the square would be about 2 by 2. So this one, it's about 2 1/8. So it's a little bit of an odd size. So, and then there's one other piece that I did cut out already, and that's this little piece here. You can see that, and it's one of the dies. Show you the die. Hold on. Here's the little die. And you know when you have a tea bag and you have the little tag on your tea bag, so this is kind of made to look like that. So I did go ahead and cut that out. So you need just a tiny little scrap to do that. And that is what we have. So those are all the supplies that you're going to need. So if you want to take a picture of that so you know what it is when we get to it, and then we're going to get started. So we are going to kind of put the card together first, and then we're going to make the little treat holder piece, because that is going to go as part of the card. So all right, so hope you're ready, because we're going to start. So the first thing we're going to do is actually move this stuff out of the way, because I don't need that. And I do have a fun embossing technique to show you, so we are going to actually do some embossing too, or I am. I don't know if you are, but I am. And it's this is not my idea. It was shown to me by another demonstrator, Susan Elise Morton, and she saw it, I think, on one of the Stampin' Up, I want to say on stage, but it's not on stage. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, she saw it on there, and so I did it at her house, and so I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm going to do this again. So you'll see. It's fun, and it gives a completely different look to what we're going to do. So the first thing you're going to need is your piece of basic white. This is 5.5 by 8.5, and mine is already scored, but if you haven't done yours yet, you're going to score it at 4 1/4. And you're just going to score it right down the middle. This makes a regular A2 size card. And then we're just going to fold it up and burnish it really good. It would help if I had my bone folder here, so it'd make it flatter. Okay, so that's our card. We're going to put that aside for a second. Then you're going to need this piece. We are going to cover the entire front of our card. I don't know if you've ever done that. I don't do it too often, but we are going to cover the entire front. If you don't want to do that, and here's a little, not a little trick, but it's something that I didn't realize. In the new catalog, there is a set of envelopes and cards that go with this tea party or teacup, cup of tea paper, and they are called, get the name right, yep, Tea Boutique Cards and Envelopes. And you get 20 of them in a package. They're $10. And they come with their pre-printed cards. and one of them just happens to be this one. So you could use one of these if you didn't want. So you get 4 each of these, and then you get coordinating envelopes. And the reason I wasn't using this card was because I wasn't going to use the coordinating envelope, because the colors that I'm using are actually on the envelope today. So, but you do get coordinating envelopes for all of your, you can see they coordinate. So this is a great deal if you want to make quick and easy cards with this. So just a little heads up. So those are in there too, in case you haven't seen them or they're hiding. Plus you get 20 cards and 20 envelopes, and they're only $10. It's a great deal. Okay, but we are going to attach this to the front of here. I am going to use liquid glue so that I can slide it around and make sure that I get it from edge to edge. If you don't cut exactly straight, because, you know, sometimes that happens, you can just trim it a little bit with your scissors. So I am just going to put it on here. I am going to fold it because I want to make sure that I get my paper all the way to the edge. It's going to go just like that. There we go. So you don't always have to have your card showing. You can cover the whole thing up. And now we have a card that looks just like the other card. Okay, now we're going to take this piece, which was in these 2 strips, and I'm going to flip this over. This is the side I want on the front. This is going to go right down the middle, just like that. And I'm going to put a little bit of glue on one edge of this paper. And I'm going to attach this to it, and then I'm going to flip it over so I can move it around to how much of the white that I want showing. If I put it over here, you can probably see it a little better. So that's about what I want. I don't want a lot. I just want a little strip just to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I think it's easier to put it on the back of the designer series paper than to try and put it on the edge of the white piece. Just because you might put too much, put it over too much or not over enough. I'm going to put that, and you can see obviously I need to slide it around. So this is the other reason why I use glue and not the Stampin' Seal for this, because I can slide it and make both sides even. And if your end piece is a little bit short, because mine is hanging over a little bit, I'm just going to trim it with my scissors. So there we go. And I'm just going to do a tad bit of trimming down here. It's just a hair. It's not right. So hopefully I cut straight and not too crooked. All right, and then this is going to go right down the middle of our card, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that. Yep. And you can see by using the 2 strips, I kind of save all that paper in between because, you know, I like to use as much of my paper as I can. Because, you know, I spend money for my paper. I want to get good use out of it. And you do want to center this as much as you can. Of course, if I centered my card on here, I could use the grid lines to figure that out. That's probably close enough. A little. Okay, there we go. So that is part of the front of our card, and now we are going to let's see, what do I want to do first? I think we're going to, yep, we're going to make our this little piece right here. So this is your piece of paper that is 6 inches by 4.5. If it has a directional design on it, like this piece does, obviously this is the up and down, you want the 6 to be across the top and the 4.5 to be up and down, vertical, because if you don't, what you're going to finish with is going to be your things are going to be sideways, and it will not look good. So Well, hey Sharon, good to see you. All right, so we are going to do a little bit of scoring on this. So we are scoring it on the short side of what would be the bottom. So my paper is directional this way. This is the bottom. So I'm scoring it on the bottom at a 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to line this up at a 1/2 inch. Pull my arm down and then score. So you don't want to put too much pressure on when you're scoring designer series paper because you don't want your paper to tear, especially if you're using the Simply Scored. You need a kind of a light touch, so just be aware of that. And then we're going to score it on the long side, which is the 6-inch side, and we're going to score it at 1.5. And remember, be gentle with your paper. And 4 3/8. So 4, which is 4 1/4, and then another 8. So 4 3/8, and we're going to score that. Okay, and that is all the scoring we're going to do. Meg, are you excited that I'm back? I know. All right, so I am going to flip it to the side so I think you can see a little bit better where the score lines are. We are going to do a little cutting, so you are going to need your paper snips, and we're going to cut up until the first score line, and then you can kind of see, I hope you can see, I'm going to put it up here a little bit, where there's a little bit of a ridge. You're going to cut right above the ridge. So you don't want to cut on the ridge, you want to cut right above, and the reason is that we're going to be folding some of this over, and we're kind of making like a little envelope. So, and it'll just fold a little bit better if you cut it right above your score line. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. If I can see it, because I got to turn because of the light. You're just going to cut right above that score line, and then you're going to just cut up that score line. And then this piece, we're just going to angle it, but you do want to make sure that you angle both sides the same because you are going to see where you angled, so you kind of want about the same amount and about the same angle on both sides. So okay, now this is, I want this side obviously to be the outside, so now we're just going to do a little bit of folding, and we're going to just make sure we have really good creases on our lines. We're going to fold that one up. And we're going to put a little bit of tear and tape on. So this is going to fold over. It doesn't fold over very far. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's probably only like a 1/4 inch. So you can, actually, which side do we want to go? So you want the seam to kind of be in the middle. I'm trying to figure out which side's in the middle. I think it's that one. So maybe it's that one. Oh, I think they're about the same actually. All right, so we do want to, nope, this, yeah, we're doing it this way. Okay, so it's, this side is the one you're putting the tear and tape on. If you have Stampin' Up! Tear and tape, you would want to cut it down the middle. I gotta find the end here, because this is a new one. And by cutting it down the middle, I mean, you would cut it, so, because you only, this is where it overlaps, is really thin, and that is why you would cut it down the middle. So you would cut it down the middle. If you don't want to do that, you can buy tear and tape that is already that skinny. I'm going to go ahead and cut this anyway, which I actually have, which makes it a whole lot easier. It comes like this. This is not Stampin' Up. You can buy it at your local craft store, and it's skinnier, so you don't have to cut it in half. But I already started cutting this, so I'm going to keep going. Just try not to cut my fingers off. It does get kind of sticky, so it will stick to your scissors. So, but it is possible to do it. And if you're making multiples of these, which I did at some point, you just save the other piece and use it later for something else. So I'm sticking it on my light thing, the thing that's holding my camera. And then you're just going to put it right next to the edge. Just like that. And because this piece is too long, I'm just going to trim it at the bottom. There we go. And as soon as I get that off my hand. Okay. And then you're just going to peel that off. And then you're just going to fold it over the top. And you can see we've got kind of like a little pouch. This one is also going to get folded up here. You can either use glue or tear and tape. I'm just going to use tear and tape because I think it's easier. You can use the thicker tear and tape for this. So you just kind of want it along the edge there. And Sharon, I know, has already seen this because if you are on my mailing list for a catalog, this little pouch thing was part of a catalog survival kit kind of thing. So now we have this little pouch, but we want it to make it look kind of like a tea bag. So we are going to cut the corners off so that they're cut at an angle. I used my grid paper to decide where I was going to cut it at. So you will need a ruler and a pencil. And I have to find my pencil because it has disappeared. Or a pen. We're going to cut it off so it won't matter. If you're using the grid paper, this is the inch side of the grid paper. And you would line it up. We'll do it from here. From the middle. 3 spaces. So I just mark my little 3s right here, so just to kind of so you can see. So this would be 3/4 of an inch. So if you're just using a ruler to mark it, you would go over 3/4 of an inch. Get my ruler going the correct way. And you would place a little mark on your paper, and you would place another one 3/4 of an inch down on your paper, like this, and put another little mark, and then you could just draw a line if you wanted to go that way. Or if you're using grid paper, you can just line it up on those 2 lines and then just draw a line. Very lightly, because we're going to cut, and then we're going to do the same thing on this side, on the other side. So I'm going to put my little marks there. So you can use this to mark it, like this, and put your ruler on it, or you can just line it up on those lines. So, but they are 3/4 of an inch going across and down. So when we're done, then you just take your pair of scissors and you just cut it right on the line. And now it looks like a giant tea bag. Okay, so, and because it looks like a giant tea bag, you can fit, this is just, you know, little tea bag, you can fit one of these right inside. And then we are going to put a little punch a hole, just use a hole punch to punch a hole right in the top. And I'm going to do the bigger size, so you just kind of line it up in the middle, whatever kind of hole punch you have. And just give it a little punch, so it has a little hole punch there. And once you put your tea inside, whatever kinds you want, you can get all different kinds from the grocery store. They come in little packets, different ones. Dollar Tree also sells some. You can get some there if you're making a whole bunch of these. And then we're going to take a little bit of this twine. This is some of the in color twine. It comes in a package that has all 5 in colors in it. You get 10 yards of each, so you can use this for all kinds of stuff. And I'm just going to cut a piece off. Oop. My scissors aren't cooperating. They have glue on them. And we're just going to put a little, I'm putting the folded end, I folded it in half. I'm just putting the folded end through. If I can get it through. Alright, missed that one. There we go. You can also use ribbon for this. So now it kind of looks like a big, you know, a big tea bag all by itself. And then just trim off a piece. Trim a little bit off the top. Okay, but we are going to decorate the front of this. So one of the things we're going to put on it is this, and the other thing we're going to put on it is a teacup. And we're going to make it look like china. It's nice and shiny. So if you just, we're going to, where's my piece? Hello, there it is. So I am going to stamp right on this paper, and I'm going to stamp on it with the same color ink as this paper is, which is Sweet Sorbet. So this is the stamp that I'm using. Not sure if you can see it. I'll show you the picture. It's this one right here that's got the kind of like leafy design on it. So we're just going to stamp that on here. Just like that. We are going to die cut this when we're done. And you can see what it looks like. And before we keep going, I'm just going to kind of show you what it's going to look like with and without the stamping. So I had stamped this same design, but on a piece of the parakeet party with the little green on it. This is what it looks like after we kind of doctor it up, and it makes it look shiny. I don't know if you can see the shiny. Uh-oh, I lost you. I'm trying to get it in the light here. You can kind of see how it shines. If you see it in person, it looks a little better. I'm trying to, yeah, there you go. You can kind of see it a little bit. But it looks like it's china, but you do it with Versamark and clear embossing powder. And this is them side by side. This is the same thing. This one has the Versamark on it, and this one doesn't. And you can see this one, the ink is a little brighter. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to hold it up only because, yeah, my light's not good up there though, is it? Maybe down here. I don't know if you can see it very well on camera, but in person, it's the ink shows up a little bit darker than it does on here. So what you're going to do is just what we're going to do with this one. I will tell you, if you are doing this on just a regular piece of designer series paper, it's kind of thin, so when you're embossing in it and gets heated up, it'll curl a little bit. So what I did is I actually just glued my paper to a piece of basic white, and then I cut it, and then I did the embossing on it, and it keeps it thicker and it makes it just a little bit thicker, but it also will not curl up on you, because this one I've been straightening it out ever since, and so it's just a little bit limp. So I would recommend putting it, if you're doing designer series paper. You can also just stamp directly onto a piece of cardstock, and I know it does shine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down first, and then we're going to do some embossing, and I'll show you how to do the embossing. So I'm going to glue it down. I'm going to emboss it first, and then I'm going to die cut it, because it's easier to hold, because we are going to cover the entire piece here. So what you're going to need is some Versamark, and you also need some clear embossing powder. It looks white when you open it up, but it dries clear. And I'm going to put that there. I have a little spoon because I use it to spoon my thing out, and I also have a little tray so I don't get it everywhere. So, but what we're going to do is we're just going to open the Versamark. Let me move this out of the way. You don't need that anymore, or that. And I just put it down like this. I just put the whole thing on it and just rub it. And this gets the Versamark just kind of pressed down a little bit, kind of like you're stamping, because we're not really stamping on it, just to get it all covered. And if you turn it over and look at it, you can kind of see the little shine on it. So I'm just going to do a little bit more, make sure I get it really good. Okay, then I'm just going to flip it back over. I'm going to put some embossing powder on it. And you're going to want to cover the whole thing. Make sure you get it really good. Dump that back in there. I think I can dump a bunch of that back in there. Kind of knock it a little bit to get off. And then, before you turn your heat tool on, make sure you get your embossing powder out of the way because it's very fine and it'll fly and kind of go everywhere. And then you're just going to take your heat gun, and because I've glued it on, I have something to hold on to, so that's helpful. And you'll see in a minute, it'll start getting kind of shiny. Might take a minute here. There we go. And it does dry pretty quick. Get my hand out of the way. Okay, so I am going to kind of wait just a second. I fan it a little bit. In the meantime, we are going to get this out because we're going to use that. And while I'm waiting for that, it just takes a second. I am going to get my little cutter out here so that we can die cut this. So there is a little teacup that will die cut this. Get my plates out. While we're waiting. I know this is really quick and easy, but it does make your cup kind of look like it's china and not. Did I miss a piece? Yep, hold on. I missed a spot. There, that's good. Sorry, missed a spot on there. Letting this dry just a second. I'm flapping it around, you know. Just, and yep, we're good to go. Okay. I am going to put this on here. I do have another little trick to show you too. In case you know how your plates bend a little bit after you've used them quite a bit, like mine have. And sometimes your dies might want to turn around anywhere. They make this Post-it tape, and it's great because you can use it to hold down your die, and it peels right off just like a Post-it note, but then you're not wasting your Post-it notes. So I'm just going to use that to hold it down. I'm going to put my plate on top. It would help if I turned it so I could actually reach the little wheel. Then we're just going to die cut this out. There we go. And then this just peels right off. Hello. There we go. And you can use it again. So I usually just stick it on the side of my, and there's our little teacup, and he's nice and shiny. And this is going to actually go right on here. I'm going to bring my other pieces of the card back. So this is the card that we made earlier. This is the card. This is our little tea bag with our tea bag inside, which we're going to attach onto there. And this is going to go onto here, just like that. And the other little piece that I had which is my little tag, we're going to put it onto the teacup. So this is the little tag. I am going to stamp on it. There's a whole bunch of stamps on that stamp set for little sayings that you can put on your tag, and they're all really tiny. It's there's one that says a time for tea, sweet, I miss you, enjoy, I just can't thank you enough. So there's a whole little section, a to and from, in case you want a to and from. I am going to use the one that says time for tea, and I'm going to stamp it in the starry sky, which is the blue in this background. So I'm just going to stamp that on my little tag real quick. These are so cute. I just love them. There you go. I'm not a tea drinker, but I really like this. This stuff, it's kind of fun. And we want to have a little bit of twine because we want it to look like a tea bag hanging out of our teacup. So I'm just going to take a little bit of twine. I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to put this on here like this, and I'm going to put a dimensional on top of it because that's how we're going to hold it onto the card. As soon as I find my dimensionals, I will. And that will hold it on without it falling off. So you put a little dimensional on the back, and then we want it to hang off our cup. So I'm just going to kind of wrap it around. I want this to be about down there. And I'm going to put a, hello, I'm going to put a dimensional on the back of here too, because, and that's going to hold it on. I want it over kind of near the handle, so you can kind of see we have our little tag. And the reason I put the dimensional on, because otherwise your little tag is going to kind of flop around. So there's our little tag. I do need to cut this off because we don't want that hanging off. And then I'm going to put a few more on here so that it'll, otherwise our teacup will be lopsided, which we don't want. So I'm just going to put it on this little circle because my paper's kind of busy, so then you wouldn't see the little cup. So here's a little cup, there's our little tag. I'll take backing off of that and just kind of stick it right there. And then this is going to get glued right onto here, right onto the middle. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue. And we're going to put it right on there. Probably help if you did this before you put the tea bag in there, because it is a little lumpy, so you'll need to make sure you press it down really good. And then this is going to go on the back, right on the front of this card, just like that. I am going to put some tear and tape on the back so that it will stay on there. So I'm going to put it right down the middle. As soon as I find where I put my tear and tape, I will do that. Yep, right there. Right next to me. And I am going to take the tea bag out real quick though, because it does make it a little bit lumpy. And then I'm going to put it back in, but I'm going to put two pieces on here so they're right on either side of that seam line that goes down the middle. Just like that. And we're just going to peel that off. Peel that off. And I am going to make sure my card's going the right way. I made some cards this weekend. I put one on upside down. I'm sure none of you have done that. Now I'm going to put this back in. I might get a bigger, longer piece because now that's going to be hard for me to put on there. Do this. This is part of the piece that I cut off earlier. So you don't want your tear and tape to go all the way to the top, because if you're doing this, you want to be able to get your string on there. There we go. pull that correctly, did I? Let's fix that. All right. Nope. Let's try that again. I wasn't holding it right. All right. My twine doesn't want to cooperate with me tonight. Here we go. And I pulled it before I pulled one end and not the other, and I got it was uneven. There we go. And we're just going to kind of cut that off a little bit so it's not quite so high. And there's your card, and all you need to do is put a little piece in the middle, Happy Mother's Day, and mix a cute little gift, and with a little tea bag inside. And that's our project. Super easy, super quick, at least I think. So I hope you'll give this a try. Just kind of fun. If you want, you can just give somebody one of these. You don't even have to. You can put a little thing on the back. I've got an extra one over here. I was making them before. You can just give somebody one of these. Just put a little thing on the back. To, from, hello, thanks for whatever you do. And this one actually has some of the metallic ribbon on the top. So, but the same thing. You don't have to put it on a card. I thought it would be fun to put on a card because it kind of makes a great little Mother's Day thing. So that's our project for tonight. I hope you liked it. And I hope I will see you again next week. I hope you all have a great week. And for all you moms out there, happy Mother's Day. And see you soon. Good night.